hello, 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 hello. Um, I am just waiting for my amazing guests, so hold on to your horses. Um, Hi guys, hello everybody. Oh, I'm so excited. We've got some people here. Um, Hold on one second. I am waiting for Dr. Pam. And let me... Let's see. How's everybody's day going? Tell me. Please type and tell me, hey. Okay. Oh, it won't let me add you to it. Can you request? It won't let me add you yet. Can you request to join? I don't know why. Being silly. Yeah, it's not giving me the option of adding you. I don't know why. Ah, there, maybe now. Okay. Yay! I think she's coming. She's coming. Please. Oh, okay. One way or the other, she's coming. I think. Oh, technology! Really? Technology, come on. Don't anybody go anywhere. I don't understand what's happening. Okay, I invited. Okay, she's been invited. Now she needs to accept. Hopefully technology works. It's fighting you. No! Fight back! It says, okay. What is happening here? I don't understand. I did not have issues the other day. Come on. I know it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. All right. Oh my gosh. Really? Mercury is not in retrograde. Come on, technology. Instagram, get with the program here. Okay, let's see. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Can you request it again? It's gonna work. It's gonna work. I'm gonna make sure it's gonna work. I filled up my water bottle for this. It's gonna work. Okay, so let's see. All right, let's try that. Yes. Okay. So I just tried. Let's see if that works. Invite. Okay. I just sent you another invitation. There we go.
It worked.
Yay!
It's working. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go. Connecting, connecting. Ah! Yay!
Oh my gosh.
Hard.
Oh my goodness. Yay, good. I'm glad like I'm not the only one with like crazy hair here
Oh, I
today.
was
So that's good.
today on my personal page. I
Yeah.
was like, this the picture that you posted to introduce me really does not get properly reflect my
Looks can be deceiving. Well, this is like one
awesome.
of the many hairstyles I've had during like since the pandemic. Like I had long hair, then I had no hair, and then I had short hair, and now it's like we're going out.
Yeah,
Might end up doing it again. Yeah.
I know. Might as
Um,
Depends on how long this goes on for, you know, you might as well.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, I'm sorry about running late. I was just taking the solidarity in birth with anti blackness and trans anti o'clock. I could not end it earlier. It was so good. So if there's any birth workers who have not taken that training or are not following Mas From, like definitely like check them out because they are so worth. Oh my gosh, it was so good. Yeah, so good. So anyway, so
Yeah.
hi.
This now. So exciting.
So exciting. So I'm trying to make sure because you're cutting in and out. So I'm trying to make sure, is it me? Am I cutting out on your end?
A little bit. It's like delayed, but
Okay.
I have my Wi-Fi so that hopefully this connects
Okay.
nicely. But there we go. Is it working? All right. Are you back? Good. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Cool, cool, cool.
I switched mine, so hopefully this will not be an issue. I know, seriously.
Yeah. Same,
So,
same.
I am so excited that you decided, like, well, not that you decided, because I would have just, been like, hey, you're doing this. Last year, this time, I know, right? I'm really good at twisting people's arms around to get things what I want. Last year, you and I had really sat down a month before, like, well before we even knew that we were gonna have a shutdown, and we were like on the floor, like
So
mapping.
it was like, let's line up all the bars. We're gonna do like all of our like lunch and learn / happy hour / let's get real over beers. And then we were thwarted. And then we were thwarted again because we're still here. So
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. Let's
next
just put a
year,
clip on that.
next year we'll do this in person. It'll be
And
great.
then here we are. Here we are. So yeah, so let's chat. I am so excited because you and Dr. Bryant, Harris both last year talked at such great length about just the body and how chiropractic care itself in general, with all the things within your scope of practice, can be of support to people who are trying to either prime their bodies or they're going through fertility treatment. So can we just like rewind and backtrack and like, first off, like, what the heck is chiropractic care? Because I know that comes up in a lot of the fertility groups that I'm in. It's like, wait, how can this actually like be a thing? So what's the basics of chiropractic care?
Yeah. Okay. One of my favorite topics. So chiropractic, I'm super biased, but I love it. It's the greatest. It's wonderful. So, it wouldn't matter what anyone's concern was. One of the top things on my list of things to try, whether it's, I'm having a bad day, to we're going through fertility treatments, to, some person looked at me wrong on the street. I'm like, have you tried chiropractic care? Will that be giving it a shot? So basically, I think the biggest thing that it's important for people to understand when it comes to chiropractic care, or at least the way that I practice chiropractic care, is that it's not just about pain and muscles and bones. We have to take it back a step farther and think of it as chiropractic is actually working with your nervous system. So when you look at it that way, it opens up a huge number of things that otherwise, no one would think of going to see a chiropractor for, anything but maybe back pain, neck pain, headaches. Those are the most common reasons nowadays that people would come in to see a chiropractor. But when we look at it as our sort of insight as to how a nervous system is working and how we can help optimize that, all of a sudden it's like, well, of course I want my nervous system working before I get pregnant or while I'm trying to get pregnant. So I think that is like the number one take home message for anybody that's tuning in today. Hi, everybody. Is that it's more than pain. It's about how are your nerves working. So what a chiropractor is going to do is work with the bones of the spine, sometimes the musculature, sometimes the ligaments, because, you know, you can't really extract one and completely isolate it from the other. But we're going to work with all of these different aspects to influence how the nervous system is functioning. And then basically a good chiropractor is then going to step back and say, okay, work with what we gave you. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes from some of the founders of chiropractic is that, you know, in its optimum form, you know, nature needs no help, just no interference. So when we're thinking about that in terms of the nervous system, it's let's just get, if there's anything in the way, let's get it out of the way and then see what happens. So, you know, I think it's also the number 2 important message to take away from our talk today is that chiropractic is not going to cure infertility. That's not what we aim to do. It's never what we should advertise, because that's, you know, a false promise in my book. But what we're trying to do is, again, sort of set the ideal stage where, you know, if we can get everything aligned properly, your body's going to have the best possible opportunity to, you know, use whatever you're giving it, you know, whether you're using ART or you're going about it the old-fashioned way or whatever, you know, that we're trying to, again, sort of set the stage for that by making sure that your brain, your body, and the environment are all talking to each other the way that they need to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Lower this year, it's not working, but
But I think, but that just speaks to the volume of your enthusiasm for, you know, your profession, and you know, and I know that your excitement comes through to the people that you help, and just how you hold space for people who are going through things, and fertility being no different than a lot of the other, you know, challenges that you and I cross support for a lot of people. And so, so yeah, so it's good to have somebody who's passionate about it.
in this practice 100% of the time. Going for it. Yes, I'm here for it. Let's do it. So
let's do it. So, okay, so say someone has a plan, like they don't even have fertility treatment on their radar because it's not like a thing, but say that they're priming their body and they're, you know, they're working on their nutrition, they're working on, you know, their mental health, they're working on their physical activity, they're doing their sleep or trying to do the sleep and all these sort of things. So how can within those things chiropractic, like how does that integrate in with it, and what does that look like?
Sure. So, you know, all of those things are important conversations that we have in my office, because, you know, when it comes to your health, it's so multifaceted. You can't be like, you know, I'm eating great, but I haven't exercised in, you know, 3 years, or, you know, I am eating right and exercising all the time, but, you know, I don't sleep more than 2 hours a night, and I'm in like a super high stress situation. So, you know, trying to come at it from a lot of different angles is something that we try and do. Again, and that can be overwhelming in and of itself. So really what we opt to do when I'm working with my patients is we try and help the body get into a state where it can most easily utilize all the good that you're doing for it. So we tend to work, and my patients that come in with fertility and pregnancy as their goal, we tend to work with the parasympathetic nervous system, which, again, people viewing may or may not be familiar with. Everyone's heard of sympathetic, fight or flight, you know. So parasympathetic system is the brakes to that system. It is the, for lack of a better term, feed and breed nervous system. So what we want to try and do then is help the body shift into a situation where they can more easily hang out in that parasympathetic state. Again, it's not something, you don't want to be sympathetic all the time, but you also want to be parasympathetic all the time. What you want is this nice normal oscillation back and forth. You know, we're never going to be in a situation where we're not under stress. Like,
really?
But, you know, all of this around us, we're never going to escape all of it. But what I want to see is that a nervous system and a spine is able to adapt. You know, you don't stay in this amped up state forever, because, you know, the way to sort of think about it, again, this is massively simplified, but the fight or flight system is anything that you're going to do while you're running from a tiger. So, you know, you're going to need the energy to run. Your muscles are going to need to be pumping, pumping, pumping. The last thing you're going to do is be like, I'm going to get pregnant right now, like 100%. You know, there is a tiger that is pursuing you. So what we really want to do is sort of get the body to take a step back and say, okay, this is a safe space for me to get pregnant. This is a safe time. You know, all the things are in play for me to be able to do that. So where chiropractic comes into that is we look for the parts of the spine that are closest to those aspects of the nervous system. So that part of the nervous system tends to be clustered right at the base of the head, the brainstem, and also clustered at the very base of the spine, the sacrum. So we really want to make sure that those aspects of the spine and nervous system are doing what they need to do. They're moving the way that they're supposed to. They're not fixated. They're talking to one another. The top and the bottom of the spine are super closely related. You know, if you have a sacrum that's not moving normally, the base of the head, the occiput, is then going to try and compensate for that. So we have to look at the full spine when we are, you know, addressing a parasympathetic sympathetic balance situation. So those are the areas that I will be spending the most amount of time with my patient. You know, and obviously there are situations and times where, you know, someone doesn't necessarily fit in that mold. And that's when, again, good chiropractor is going to go into their toolbox and say, okay, what else is going on here? You know, and focusing. But again, the vast majority of my patients, that's where we'll start out with is the top and bottom spine. Again, try and get good parasympathetic input, make sure that those breaks are helping sort of shift you out of this like defense mechanism, you know, survival mode into a situation where I'm safe, my body is cared for, and now we can work on, you know, what it takes to get pregnant.
Now, if someone is, again, we're not even thinking about fertility treatment at this part of the conversation, how far, like if they're starting to plan that they're gonna, like in 3 to 6 months, they want to start actively trying, at what point do you recommend how long they work with you in order to help with optimization?
Sure. So, you know, ideally that's when they're thinking about coming in, because, you know, it's going to vary from person to person. But for example, if you know that you were a horseback rider growing up and you know that you've been bouncing around on your tailbone for a very long time, what I do is not, I'm not a magician. I wish I was a magician. I wish go one-stop shop, we click it back into place and we never have an issue again. But a lot of the times there's muscle memory and, you know, again, sort of this patterning, we call it, where the body will sort of revert back to where it's used to being. And then we go in again and we say, no, try this instead. I really think it's going to work out for you a lot better if you're over here. But it takes a little time to develop that rapport with the body. And again, to sort of help the body recognize like, oh, wait, no, I actually do feel better and I function better in this position. So in a perfect world, you know, a patient is coming in maybe like, I don't know, like 4-ish months. You know, we kind of think about the turnover time for, you know, setting the stage for an ideal, you know, building up the eggs and the sperm and all that stuff. We like to sort of shoot for about that 120 days out. We really get serious about, you know, nutrition, sleep, you know, gratitudes, all that, you know, mind, body, spirit, chemical exposure. That 4 months mark is a pretty safe bet for when we can do the most amount of good with given, you know, cellular turnover and all that kind of stuff. Now, that doesn't mean that like, oh, I missed this cycle with Dr. Pam, you know, never mind. Like I roll in like the day before they're scheduled to go in for an IUI. I have patients that say, you know, I just got married in a couple of years. Like, this is something that we're going to want to do. Can you help me optimize it? And again, more time is better, but it's not an all or nothing type situation. Yeah.
Okay. So now you kind of hit on fertility treatment because you talked about IUI. So say someone is about to start their fertility treatment. I know at least from a bodywork perspective, there are certain things that I need to focus more on up to ovulation or up to the trigger shot, whether it's an IUI or they're having an egg retrieval or, you know, now they're getting ready for a transfer. Like there are different things that I adjust as a body worker in order to accommodate the body prep work from a fertility massage perspective. So for chiropractic care, how does that play in? Because clearly, like, depending on all the things that you would be doing, you don't want to have, different types of torsion and things like that. If the eggs are, multiplying, everything is like doing its thing. So what does that look like?
So I think the other thing that sort of needs to be mentioned here is I adjust a little bit differently than what a lot of people expect from a chiropractor. And again, I think that in some ways it opens up the idea of chiropractic, makes it just a little bit more palatable for people to be like, oh my gosh, I'm trying so hard to like take good care of my body and not put any extra stress in it. And then you want to do what to my neck? Like, again, there is nothing wrong with manual adjusting if you're seeing a skilled chiropractor, if you're seeing somebody that knows what they're doing. But I adjust mainly by instrument. So it's a lot gentler than traditional chiropractic care. So it helps keep the body in a nice neutral state. And I find that, again, from the perspective of keeping people's stress low, especially when they're going into a really high stress situation, if me going in to move a bone by hand is something that's going to freak somebody out, then this is a wonderful, wonderful way to sort of take that extra stressor out of it. So we use a little clicky tool. It's called an activator. I would have a spare with me, but my activator broke.
I was just gonna say, did you get your new one yet?
I've been ordered. I wish my hand had fallen off. Like, it was the most terrifying moment of my life, just because I was like, again, I could go in and adjust by hand. I was trained in how to do that, but my practice is built on people that are used to this nice, gentle adjusting. My front desk manager, she saw the look in my eyes, and it must have been like, she could have seen my entire life flash before my eyes. I think she was back with my spare from my house in about like 8 minutes, and I'm not even exaggerating. I was not. I was halfway through. Oh man. So yes, I use a tool. We had a spare, and now we're getting a backup. But yeah, so we use this little instrument to do the adjusting, and it keeps the spine, again, nice and neutral. And the thing that I really, really like about it is the analysis that goes along with it. Regardless of what technique your chiropractor is using, a good chiropractor is going to have a very secure and very straightforward and easy to explain system of analysis that they use to figure out when and where to adjust. And the biggest and most important thing about it is that it keeps our ego in check. It's very easy to sort of be like, well, I deal with this kind of thing all the time. And 10 other patients that came in today, they all had this thing going on with them. So you must also have this thing going on with them. The nice thing about a good analysis system to come back to is it pumps the brakes and says, okay, I know this is what you were expecting to see, but that's not what's there on this person, because not everybody's assembled the same. Not everybody is processing, whatever stress is coming in at them. There's so many things that change how a person sort of expresses their health. So it's important to have something that keeps the person on your table an individual in my aspect. So I hesitate to say that there's like, this is specifically what I'm going to adjust on somebody, because the second I say that, and in an exam room, is the second I get them at the table, and that's not what shows up. But our main goal and main focus overall is, again, sort of, for me, making sure that any adjustment that I deliver is done in a way that it puts the body into a position of ease. I should not be pushing through any sort of tension or anything like that. Again, the sign of a good chiropractor is someone who doesn't have to like get a running start and leap onto the table, regardless of what technique they're using to adjust you. It's all about how you set up the body, sort of lean into that position of ease and slide that bone back into place, whether it's, again, by hand, by instrument, by willing it back in with your mind. That's not necessarily any other number of things that we can do to sort of, so yeah, it's
so
not,
it really does vary. So like, it doesn't really matter where you are and what medications you're doing, like if you're doing stims or where you're at in the process, it's always going to vary.
The biggest thing for me is, again, if I know someone, again, is doing like a trigger shot, I'm going to have to modify where my contact points are, because the last thing that you want me doing is pushing into an area that's all bruised, and been through it. So again, it's important for me to know what their patient, what a patient's going through, not just from a medical standpoint, but just, again, for your comfort. Like this should be the least stressful aspect of getting your health in line. It should be a, fairly relaxing experience. Again, I massage my trumpet it, but it should still be something that you're not like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the chiropractor today and she's gonna put. No, it
Yeah,
should.
and I think that comes up because people are like, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? And that's kind of why we're having this conversation. And especially like people are trying to make sure that they're doing all the right things. And, you know, it's always like, well, what's going to make you more overwhelmed? If something is going to make you more overwhelmed, like, let's not do it. But if, you know, having your body touched by a practitioner is going to help keep you like relaxed because you know it's going to help you do something, and you know that when you're put in the place, like you feel so much better, you're going to sleep better, you're going to move better, then you want to make sure that those things stay a priority on your to-do list, like as you're going through your schedule and stuff.
Yeah. And I know you and I have had that conversation with mutual patients of ours where it's like they're trying to pack all these things onto their plate, and it gets to a point where they're like running from appointment to appointment to appointment, and that's adding more stress to their day.
Yeah.
I can know all day long that chiropractic is going to be a great thing for them, but they also have to be sort of in that mindset where they're going to accept that. Because again, the body will react. It's influenced by so many things. And if that's how you're going into it, then, you know, it's never going to, we can't overcome that, I don't think.
Yeah.
For
sure.
For dark in here. Hang on.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
There we go. There.
I'm like, I see your bright smile. I don't need to see anything else. Yeah, I think that, you know, it is so overwhelming, and especially as like the conversation around fertility and non-standard support modalities are picking up momentum in the conversation around conception and just the whole experience. I don't even want to use the word journey because it makes it sound so light and fluffy, and it's not.
Exactly.
It's
like you're just skipping like down the yellow.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're skipping, you're running, you're sliding on your
bikes for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Like all of the above. And so it's like this whole adventure, and you know, people are desperate, understandably, like desperate, looking for like anything and everything that is possibly going to increase their chances for, you know, how many follicles they're going to have, or, you know, how many embryos are going to make it to day 5, or just like, you know, is your transfer going to stick, or is your insemination going to work? Like, and then it's the whole 2-week wait. Then you're like, okay, well, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Right. Especially if the system that you've set up for yourself is not one that has a game plan for that 2-week wait. Like, you know, a lot of people are like, okay, well, it's in there, and I don't want to go see a chiropractor because I don't want them to shake it loose. And it's like, you know, especially, and again, that's a very real, like, you say it like that, but like, that's a very real concern people have. And that's totally valid. Like, you know, it's like, it's safe, and I don't want to mess it up. And I have that same conversation with my patients about like just their adjustment in general. They're like, okay, like, do I not move today so that I don't move any bones back out of place? And it's like, you know, no, you need to sort of build this support system around you, this cocoon around you to help support, you know, what you've done for yourself. And again, in that 2-week wait where, you know, we've got our fingers and toes crossed a million times over, and we're just, again, hoping that the table that we set for this little, you know, this transfer is a, you know, one that's bountiful enough to support everything. But like, you know, in that interim, there's no reason, you know, there's in the research or anything to say that you can't see your chiropractor, again, provided you're seeing someone that knows what they're doing. You really have to, when you're assembling your team, and again, so many of these people that are concerned about their fertility and taking all these extra steps, you guys research and know so much more than pretty much. So if someone finds their way to a chiropractor as part of their fertility journey, they've probably done the research to find that, to make sure that they're seeing someone that knows what they're doing. But I would reiterate that, to make sure that the person that you're seeing is someone that's a good fit for you in a whole multitude of ways. Their training, their technique, their personality, it all matters. So.
Are there certain things that people should look for when they are looking for a chiropractor for fertility?
Sure. So I tend to refer patients, again, if they're contacting me about someone that's not in their area or whatever the case may be, you know, friends that are looking for chiropractors to help them. You want to look for somebody that has advanced training. So I did most of my preconception, prenatal, pregnancy, and postpartum pediatric training through the ICPA. That's the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association. And they have recently sort of revamped their program. They added in this awesome preconception nutrition course that you and I have talked about before. Bryant, who you mentioned, has taken it a step further and done additional training with Dr. Marcia Schaefer, who has developed a whole protocol that she uses for her patients out in Wisconsin. That's on my list of things to after I do my certification for my 200-hour course through the ICPA. But, there are these extra courses, so, that people can take there. If you are one of the lucky ones that's in an area where you have a chiropractor who specializes in functional medicine too, there's like that beautiful overlap that they can help sort of, again, consolidate your visits in some ways. So if you can find one of those, we have one down in like the Rockville area, Dr. Kat Caden. Mm-hmm. She has a wonderful sort of, background with regards to her training. So yeah, there are definitely, you want to work with someone who's, not that sports chiropractors aren't great. Again, they all serve a purpose, but if they don't have the extra training in pediatric prenatal and preconception care, then, again, you can probably find someone that's just a little bit better fit for you overall. So,
yeah, I think that's always also like, the biggest thing is like, well, how do I know that like they're legit, and that they actually know?
Talk to their patients, like, again, I keep saying I need to put a lot of my patients on payroll because, like, if you float it out there to your social media network, like, it's one of the big downfalls of chiropractic, actually, in some ways, is that no one says you need to see a chiropractor. It's you need to see my chiropractor. So, like, we have some fantastic practitioners in Baltimore, and, like, you see our patients come out, and it's like the scene in Braveheart where they're like, Dr. Pam, Dr. D. I'm like, Dr. D is wonderful. Like, so it's one of those things where, again, if you're in a good community where you feel like comfortable, you talk about it, ask the people around you, and again, call the chiropractor. We're all like this, where we're like super verbal. We're happy to talk to a rock. We've been trapped during a pandemic, so we don't get to teach as much as we normally would. So, like, my poor patients, these poor phone consults. But yeah, talk to them, see what they're comfortable with, and again, a good doctor is someone who you should know right off the bat if they are overpromising, again, or if they are trying to say, yeah, we can fix this in a heartbeat. You should listen to the language. Like, it should be like, yeah, let's help you along here. Let's help your body to do what it needs to do. Again, it should not be about what I can do for you. It should be what we can help your body do for itself. It should be a very non-ego driven conversation, I think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that any provider that you seek while you are trying to conceive, as desperate as you may be, it's really about, doing their research, making sure that they're not selling you something promising, because it's like, let's face it, like, the reality is there is no guarantee. I mean, I'm a wellness provider that works with all these people, and I still, have yet to carry to term. So you can do all the right things and still not have it, but at least you know that your body can handle whatever is coming a little bit easier. Not to say great, but you can definitely handle the stress a little bit better when you have those well-rounded support systems put into place. Because let's face it, this shit is stressful.
Yes. Yep. It puts your body, I mean, again, it puts your body through it. Like, again, we in chiropractic, we think of the misalignments in the spine. We call them subluxations. The subluxations have a multi-fold influence. Like, there are things that, everyone's like, oh, I was in a car accident, so I have a misalignment in the spine. The physical trauma side of things, super easy to understand. But we think about it in the terms of the 4 T's. There's trauma, thoughts, toxins, and tech nowadays. But all of these things will influence your body's, structure and function. So again, the things that you need to do to be able to, carry your pregnancy to term, best case scenario sometimes involves putting a lot of crap into your system to help it along. So, with that in mind, yeah, we have to sort of set the stage again so your body can process those physical, emotional, chemical stressors. Absolutely.
So since we did kind of mention it, and it does go along with the fertility journey, is that sometimes there are pregnancies that end and not, full term. And so chiropractic care is still, even if it's, an early miscarriage and, things just progress, with no issues or no complications, to you have traumatic, hemorrhaging or really bad cramping and all of these sort of things. Chiropractic care can really also help the body reconnect and kind of work with the, as you were saying, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic response to moving. Right?
Yeah, we have to consider, again, it's so early that we start to see these hormone shifts. Like, it's something that things just start to fire. Again, especially if you're doing fertility treatments, like your hormones already go off the all over the place, and that affects flexibility. Like, it affects your sense of spatial awareness. When your joints are more wobbly than they would normally be, we have to be prepared that bones will shift out of place more easily. So, and that doesn't disappear the second you have a loss.
Right.
It sucks. It's just like this like cosmic thing. Like, I have all this extra flexibility, and for what in that moment, it's so, helping the body sort of come back to this state where, the joints are properly aligned. So you're not left with, persistent pain afterwards, because this flexibility pushes the joint apart and it shifts and then it comes back together as the flexibility starts to diminish again and our joint is misaligned. So really making sure that we support you through that process, again, like you said, also through the emotional stressors that go along with that, helping the body again sort of down regulate a little bit, make sure that it doesn't stay in this like heightened situation. Your whole body, your whole posture changes when you're under stress. The shoulders pull up, all of a sudden we're having headaches complicated by the hormones. Like, there's so much that we can do to help support a system through a stressful time, whether that's a fertility related stressful time, whether that's a pandemic related stressful time, whether that's, there's so many things that we can do. And, again, I can't promise a patient that they will carry a pregnancy to term, but I can promise that we will help the body, like you said, be able to handle whatever comes at it, for sure.
Great. If anybody is watching, I know we've got a couple folks who are watching. So if you have any questions for Dr. Pam, she does not bite, and she loves being asked questions because she loves to talk about the things that she's so passionate about. So which I think it's great because I'm never bored when we have conversations about this stuff. So the only thing I miss is like not actively like providing massage right now, because I love your Post-it notes, because I love supporting our clients.
Miss yes, for those of you that do not know, email works, but like when you can send a bright neon colored Post-it note to your providers, then that's helpful. So yeah, I love to send those to the other providers that get me. I have yet to send one to like somebody's like their actual OB. I sent some to midwives that I thought might be a little bit more prepared. But yeah, I've yet to send one over to like Shady Grove or Johns Hopkins Fertility.
Well, you never know who's watching and who's going to watch. Well, I think they're great. Yeah. Because they definitely help me be able to better support my clients. So, I don't have any, there's only so much to really talk about. I mean, granted, there's so much to talk about at the same time.
Yeah, no, I guess like we've covered a lot of the basics. Again, it's one of those things where, I can only speak to how my practice is, but I know a lot of pediatric chiropractors and prenatal chiropractors and preconception chiropractors that have influenced my sort of road to getting here where I am. And I will say that the vast majority of us are really, really passionate about helping our patients in whatever way we can. As you know, knowing me as a person, boundaries are not my strong suit. So, I'm going to sort of be okay with the emotions that my patients are bringing into my office. And I think most chiropractors are, again, it's not one of those, if you find the right chiropractor for you, they tend to not be like a super stuffy individual, at least in my experience. So we're oftentimes good partners on the roller coaster that is fertility. Where we're comfortable sitting in those spaces with our patients as much as possible. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Get yourself somebody who's empathetic to the experience and not just like a revolving door practice.
Right. And that goes for any provider. But again, like I said, people are really doing their research. They're not diving right into, any chiropractor. So
yeah. Yeah. We're so grateful in the Baltimore area to have such incredible providers to be able to reach out to and have as support systems. So,
yeah. And I think, again, another perk, obviously we can only speak to Baltimore primarily, but, one of the great perks is the network that comes with that. If a patient is coming in to see me, I'm totally comfortable saying, who is your prenatal massage therapist? Who is your pelvic floor physical therapist that you're working with? Join in for Dr. Sam's talk. So I'm totally comfortable having those conversations. There's no ego piece in my practice. And I think that's the case sort of across the board, at least in our area. And then the other thing that is really good to sort of look for, again, if you're not from the Baltimore area and you're tuning in, check out the ICPA website. It's icpa4kids.org. And you can find a chiropractor that has the same sort of training that we have here. And again, will at least be a good jumping off point for, for seeing if you're finding the right chiropractor for you. You can also reach out to me. I'm happy to do some hunting. It's one of my favorite pastimes. I have no qualms with searching people and vetting them like a loop.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, Dr. Pam, reach out to her. First Step Chiropractic. Yeah.
I will find you.
Yeah, you will. I have no doubt in that. For sure. For sure. I'm trying to think. I mean, for what we wanted to cover tonight, I feel like we kind of like nailed it and covered it. But if anybody does have any questions, this will be saved to my IG Live and uploaded to YouTube. So hopefully the captions will be set in by tomorrow.
Hopefully I didn't fast.
Craziness. Thank you so much for your time. And I know it's practice, as we're sort of trying to get back to whatever the new normal is, you guys are also overwhelmed, I'm sure, but you are a valuable asset to our healthcare. So thank you so much.
It's been my pleasure to, again, especially through all of this extra stress, especially at the beginning when so many different modalities were shut down. So many of my referral partners have not been working for various, very good reasons. It has really been wonderful to be able to continue to serve that population. I'm really glad they didn't shut down chiropractors, because I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm adjusting them in a parking lot. I'm going to find a way to take care of my patients. So yeah, I'm glad that chiropractors have been able to stay open, stay supportive sort of throughout this whole thing. And it seems like we'll be able to ride out the end of it here and keep doing what we're doing until everybody else is back doing what they need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Dr. Pam. You're always such a joy. I can't wait for the day that I can like hug you again and we can be,
soon.
Yeah. Us shorties got to stick together on this.
Love it. So next year we are doing this in person. I'm putting it out there. It's happening.
Yes. Cheers to that. I have my water bottle. Cheers to that. Yeah, I will hydrate up for that. If anybody does have any questions, what is the best way to reach out to you? Is it through Instagram? Is it through email, website?
So you can either direct message me through Instagram. It's at First Step Baltimore. That sounds, I feel like an influencer now. Or you can always email my office. The office email is just info@firststepbaltimore.com. You'll get me. It's a very small practice. Me and my front desk manager, Becca, and our other front desk manager, Payson, who I saw on this talk earlier. What up, girl? So yeah, you can email us. It'll get to me. And we can always set up a time to talk by phone if that's easier. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, cheers to next year. 2022, we're back in person talking about chiropractic care.
Alrighty. Have a, I hope the rest of this whole month is going to go super smoothly. There's no technological issues and that there's a lot of really fruitful conversation across the board. So
yeah, great. Thanks so much. All right. I'll catch you later. Bye.